YouTube? I am back finally with another book review, and I know for you guys it might not be finally because I've tried to space out when I put up my book reviews so I could lengthen the time that I had to record another one, because I've had some problems lately, more so than usual with technology. And if you've been watching my videos or reading the descriptions, you know me and technology have some beef for some reason, and it's not getting solved at all. I probably should try to solve it, but time. I have other things I'd rather do, like read books. Yeah, so technology sucks when I try to do it because it just stops recording mid-passionate rant and speech. And that happened to me with this book that I am reviewing now, Ghost at a Watchman by Harper. And the fact that it cut off on me mid-speech when I was in the moment. I was going full on, like, I didn't even have to write anything down. It was just my mouth was spitballing some smart stuff, which usually doesn't happen. So I was actually pretty proud. But of course, the camera stops. So I was so angry that I had to push back when I was gonna write or record my review for it, because I actually finished reading this book 2 days after it came out, and that was about maybe a month ago. So I've pushed it off for a month because it just pissed me off so much. But now I am less angry and am willing to try to get this out, and hopefully technology does not mess with me again, because I just want me and technology to be fine, but I don't know. First off, I have to say that To Kill a Mockingbird was one of my favorite classical literature books that I read in my entire high school career, and it's for two reasons. The first one, which is probably more universal, is because it has an interesting storyline with profound moralistic themes. But the second one is because of my pride. We had to do a packet on this book, and I got 100 on it from a teacher that never gave 100s because I went hard. I literally went hard. There were like little sections that only like one sentence or like a little statement was expected, but I freaking wrote pages on it. I went hard. I was a total nerd for it. No other way to explain it. But yeah, so it has that kind of prideful connection as well, which is great as well. But that might be a tangent. But I believe that this is definitely, of course, going to become a classic. I mean, it has the same moralistic themes. Maybe not the exact same, but it has moralistic themes in it, which not only are important from the time period that the story takes place in, but it actually has a lot of importance now. Okay, so before I delve into the spoiler section of this review, I have two things to say. One, everybody, and I mean everybody, should read this book, especially if you read To Kill a Mockingbird. If not for the morality in this book that you can take away from it, you should read it for the characters, because I mean the characters in To Kill a Mockingbird were great, and they're just built upon in Ghost at a Watchman. So I think that is a great reason to read the book. And two, everybody, even people who have not read the book, they should skip to the last part of this review. There won't be any spoilers, so you're good with that. So it's not gonna like give you information that you wouldn't know if you didn't read the book. I mean, I guess it kind of does, but it's more important than making sure that you do not get any spoilers. And it's not like little nitpicky stuff that I'll be talking about. It's more of that, it's my speech basically about this book and how it relates to now. So that's the reason why you should skip to that part, even if you have not finished the book. Okay, so now if you have not read Ghost at a Watchman, this book right here. I recommend you fast forward it to the time. I will write in the description around what time that is in this review, so that way you can skip all of it and it'll be easy for you to do it. But yeah, right now I'm gonna get into some spoilers, so fast forward to the end if you have not read. So for the most part, we see a lot of the same characters that we grew to love in To Kill a Mockingbird. And this sequel we see again through the view of Scout, who in this book is now 26-ish years old and goes by her full name, Jean Louise. We find out that she lives in New York and barely visits home. This isn't very out of character, I don't think, for her, because she could not be held in place. She liked to explore and stuff. So I thought that was in character. We also see Atticus, of course, and Calpurnia, but I'll get to them a bit later. That's really it for the recurring characters. So now, if you were like me, you were pissed off when you learned about Jem and Dill. For one, Jem committed suicide at a young age, apparently like their mother, and then Dill is in France. Like, I was seriously angry that Jem had died and that we didn't see how he developed as a character. But at least got some information about Jem. It was just a passing statement about Dill. And I thought he was a big part of To Kill a Mockingbird, so that kind of angered me a bit. And with the statement about Dill, which was made by Jean Louise, it was kind of uncertain whether her statement was correct. And like, this was probably just me, but I got the vibe that the reason Jean Louise was playing with her boy toy, which I will mention his name later, was because she still kind of liked Dill. She kind of liked Dill. I don't know. She grew to like him in a more mature way, not just as a friend. But like, yeah, I was waiting for him to come in at some point in the book and just make Jean Louise leave her boy toy. But that did not happen. Instead, we got Henry, her boy toy, who just like was a random person who popped up. And like, he wasn't even mentioned, I don't think, in To Kill a Mockingbird. Or at least I don't think he was. At least I haven't read that book in a while. But still, where did he come from? And like, his name isn't even really Henry. They just call him Henry. It's something else. I don't remember, because honestly, I did not like him. I did not like him at all. He replaced Dill in my mind. I seriously was waiting for Dill to come in and just like sweep Jean Louise off her feet, which is probably not realistic, because Jean Louise would not let a guy sweep her off her feet. But I was kind of hoping it was gonna happen. But yeah, Henry was honestly a random character. He was kind of like a trigger for the main moralistic climax, I guess you could call it, in the book. It's true that you don't stay with the same people when you grow up. I mean, that's just life. But still, who the heck was he? I don't know. And Henry was really the only newish character that was kind of important in this story. I mean, we've seen some other people, but yeah. So now I'm gonna go back to the more profound characters, Atticus and Calpurnia. We'll start with Atticus, because I have some stuff to say about him. Now, I'm sure that even before you read the book, you somehow found out that Atticus was portrayed in a darker light in Go Set a Watchman than in To Kill a Mockingbird. I know that literally right before I read the book, I heard on, I think it was The View, that Atticus was a KKK member. Initially, I shrugged that off, because I was like, no, have you not read To Kill a Mockingbird? That is not possible. That's like everything that is against what I thought Atticus stood for. And so I honestly just shrugged it off. But then I started reading the book. And although I don't believe Atticus was part of the KKK for himself, I interpreted as he joined the KKK to see who else was in it. so he could kind of know his enemy, I guess. But that might just be my interpretation. I might be completely wrong. But he definitely has some racist thoughts. And yeah, it was quite a shock reading his thoughts, but I could kind of see what he was getting to. He wasn't necessarily racist. He wasn't like the average racist, which I know that sounds bad. Any type of racist is bad. I agree with that statement that all races are bad. He just had a more logical racist view, I guess. Like, this book is occurring during the time when blacks are now considered people and not property. I don't know if it's after Martin Luther King Jr. or something like that, but it's around that time where blacks are starting to get rights. And Atticus says, basically, that they can't really jump right in. It's like making a child a full-blown citizen, because obviously children have not as many rights, or can't exercise as many rights as adults do, and he's saying that they're basically being introduced to this system, so they're kind of like children. They need to learn. And I don't agree with that, but like, I agree that I believe that blacks need to become citizens. They need to be seen as people, not property. But there is some logic to what he's saying. It's kind of like nowadays where people probably don't focus as much on any kind of election. They kind of stick with their party and kind of like that, or at least that's how I interpret people doing it. I might be completely wrong. I don't know. I'm just stating what I think without any background knowledge to back me up. So I'm just spitballing my initial thoughts and ideas and stuff. Yeah, he's kind of saying that they're not educated in the law to make positive actions, decisions, and that kind of stuff. And like I said, twice I think, he's just being a logical racist. I don't agree with him being racist. But it's kind of reasonable if you think about it and take race out of it. You wouldn't let a kid who doesn't know anything about it do it. And that's kind of what he's saying. That's kind of at least how I took his racist thoughts to be in a simpler form. That being said, there was also a bit of reverse racism depicted with Calpurnia's interaction, or rather lack thereof, with Jean Louise. And yes, I understand that blacks were treated horribly. Like, honestly, that is something that we might not like to remember about our history as Americans, but it's important to know that we did kind of do something wrong in our past. And I know that they were treated inhumanely by a large population, a large percentage of the white population, and that is not good. And I know that Calpurnia was technically a slave to Jean Louise and her family, but in To Kill a Mockingbird, and in the flashbacks that we kind of see in Go Set a Watchman, Calpurnia was more like a mother to the family who was not treated badly at all or as an inferior. She was part of the family. If she had been treated inhumanely like some of the other kind of slave stories you hear about, then it would be understandable why she doesn't act nicely towards Jean Louise. But that's not the case. She was treated as family, and then decides to completely ignore Jean Louise when Jean Louise went to comfort Calpurnia in a time of need. And even though Jean Louise and Calpurnia had a familial bond, the fact that Jean Louise was white was more important to Calpurnia than their bond. And that is reverse racism. Not all white people were necessarily bad to blacks during that time. Then again, a lot of whites were. But if you know someone was good to you, I don't see Calpurnia's reaction as being founded, like being an okay response or reaction. Now, if it was maybe towards Atticus because of his kind of racist thoughts that we see in this book, that would be more understandable. Yeah, she kind of deserves to give him the cold shoulder. But Jean Louise, she has done nothing whatsoever to say that blacks were inferior or anything. So that kind of angered me a lot. And it shows that reverse racism existed, which it did, and I mean it still does, but any kind of racism, whether it be blacks against whites against black, whatever, any kind of racism, not good. We're all people. We should all treat each other with some sort of respect, unless respect is not deserved, if you know what I'm saying. I hope I don't offend people in this, but I'm kind of prepared to, because I mean, this is kind of a sensitive subject nowadays. I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth with unknown and mentioned characters again, but this was kind of done on purpose. Another very important character who might have been mentioned in To Kill a Mockingbird, but was not actually present, I don't think, until Go Set a Watchman, was Scout's Uncle Jack, who is known also as Dr. Finch. And he was very important. He gave a lot of important advice, insight, philosophy, and knowledge that helped Jean Louise deal with this new information that she's finding out about her father. So he's kind of the anti-Atticus, who is more, I don't know how to describe it. He might not agree with Atticus, but he's telling Jean Louise why he might think so and that kind of stuff. So he's very important. There was also Jean Louise's Aunt Alexandra, or Miss Alexandra, I think. But she was kind of more the traditional kind of Southern woman who likes tradition and that kind of stuff. She hates that Jean Louise is wearing improper clothing and all that stuff. She was just kind of an anti-Jean Louise. But there's nothing really more important to say about her. Here is the opinion that I was so passionate about and needed to record a review immediately after finishing the book, and which was cut midway through. But before I state it and go on my rant about it, I want to say some things. 1. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, no matter what. You might not agree with it, you might not like it, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. 2. Sometimes what I think in my mind and in my brain does not get properly translated by my mouth, and therefore 3, I do not intend to offend anyone. But 4, if I do offend anyone, please let me know so that, no, but in a respectful way. I don't want anybody jumping on my case because I said something that I might not have meant exactly, but my mouth just garbled up, because it does that sometimes. That being said, here goes the important moralistic stuff. One important quote that was initially written in To Kill a Mockingbird and is reintroduced in Go Set a Watchman is, "Equal rights for all, special privileges for none." Now, this was said by Atticus originally in To Kill a Mockingbird, and Jean Louise kind of uses this against Atticus in Go Set a Watchman. And this is basically saying that all people deserve rights, and nobody should be elevated over other people. Like, there should not be a group of superior people and a group of inferior people. And I find this very fitting for now with all the stuff that you hear in the news, especially if you're in the US. I don't know how it is outside. I'm kind of in my little bubble here. This is my home. This is my country. So I'm kind of focusing on the US. But with all the things that have been going on, and I do not want to state it, because we all know what's been going on. I don't have the actual information here, and I don't want to mess that up, so I'm just going to exclude any actual factual information. But yeah, so this is kind of relevant for what is happening now with all the uprising of equality and that kind of stuff, whether it be between races or genders and that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to read this book because everybody is equal. We're all people. And the way that Jean Louise says this is so much better than I could ever say it. So that is why you should read the book, purely for Jean Louise's thoughts on racism, because it is important. I don't understand people who feel superior to others and believe that other people should not have the same rights. That honestly just blows my mind. I cannot see that. All people deserve the same rights. However, with some of the cases that we see in the US, rights should only be lessened or taken away if you do something wrong. Now, with something that happened into the news, there's a lot of controversy with police officers who are attacking or killing people of another race, and some people are saying that it's due to their race. Again, I don't have all the facts. I'm not looking at all of the facts of each particular case that has been happening. But with the little information that I have gotten, a lot of the cases were that the victim, who was killed by the police officers, are doing nothing wrong. One of the cases I know, they were robbing someplace. Yeah, that should not have been escalated to killing, but I think there was also someone pulled a gun out. I don't know. But if that were the case, if someone pulled a gun out, then yeah, it might be understandable why a cop shot at them. They shouldn't have gone for the kill. But, I mean, they were just protecting themselves and the people in the vicinity. Vicinity. Both words work. But yeah. And I just feel that we're throwing all the progress we had made away. Like, honestly, I did not think racism was this big of a problem. Or stuff like that. I don't know. It honestly blows my mind that we're kind of regressing from where I thought we were. Yeah, you always find those extremists who are completely against race or another person's race or another person's religion and that kind of stuff. I get that there's a bad egg in each group of people. That's understandable. But I didn't realize it was bad at this big of a level. And just really, we had to go. It feels like we've gone back in time. Like, we should be smarter now about it. We should understand that that we're all people, and that we all live, and that we all have basic rights. And honestly, this speech is not going half as well as it was when I did it the first time, but I do not remember what I said in that video when it was cut off. Which is part of the reason why I was angry, because it was just raw emotion. Jean Louise is basically saying, we're all people, we all deserve to live, we all deserve certain rights, and the color of our skin should not affect that. So, yeah, and that's just really relevant now because we are kind of regressing and focusing on race equality, and even gender equality could be lumped in this category, because women are humans too, men are humans too. We should all be equal. And that's another thing, actually. I probably ranted about this before, because I just ranted in that video. But there is feminism, which I do not agree with that term, and I know I'd probably get a lot of hate about it because it has been given kind of a negative tone by extremists, which all extremists, they kind of ruin everything, but I will not get into that. But yeah, I do not like the term feminism. I just believe in equality, whether it be men being equal to women or minorities being equal to white people. I don't even like the term minorities. Why are they not minorities? Why is that? I don't think they have like a smaller percentage of people in the country or the world or whatever to be considered a minority. So why do we call them that? That's just weird. I don't understand it. But yeah, feminism, and it's again because of extremists. It just has the undertone of like elevating women above men, which is again the wrong idea. Women are equal to men. Men are equal to women. So I dislike the term feminism, and that's just a personal opinion. Like all of this that I'm saying, I'm just an equalist. Probably not even a word, but that is what I am. I am an equalist, not a feminist, not a racial equalitist. I guess that's still equality. But I'm just all over equalitist. That wasn't even the same word I said 5 minutes ago. I believe in equality through all different things that people like to discriminate about. And I also believe in the police system, although again, there are some bad eggs, like in any profession, any group of people, anything like that. And I think it's because our government system needs some work. And I'm not going to go into a whole rant about that because honestly, I could be here for 10 minutes without even researching anything. When I have strong feelings, boy, they are legitimately strong. And that is not about many topics. I honestly, for most things, I can see both sides of the story, but when I do have a strong, one-sided opinion, I'm stubborn. And I feel so strongly about it. But I think that's everything, really. That wasn't as cohesive as I imagined it in my brain or with my notes and stuff. I was supposed to go over notes, but I was like, F it. I'm just gonna get this over with because I put this off for a month after I read the book, and that's probably why it's not as structured or well said as I wanted it to be. But what are you gonna do? So I hope, if you have not read Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, that you will immediately go to the library or the bookstore and get it, because it is, I think, necessary, especially in this day and age where people are very touchy and easily offended. So, yeah, we're all people. We're all people. There is no race. There is just, what was the thing that Bill Nye said? There is no race. It's just how we survive or something, because it has to do with where your ancestors are from on the world. Like people in like around the equator, they're darker to protect themselves from the sun and that kind of stuff. But that's a tangent that I do not need to go into. Just go read this book, please. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And I hope I didn't make a complete idiot about myself. And I hope I don't get that much hate on my opinions and stuff. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Okay, even though I know this video was quite long, I just wanted to add this because I feel like it was a very important point in the book. It was Jean Louise realizing that she had put Atticus on a pedestal and thought he was a god. We can't do that to people because people have they have flaws, they make mistakes. they're not gods. You cannot idolize another person, because at some point you are going to have some kind of difference in opinion, and that'll just, you just can't idolize someone. And I know this is just a tiny, seemingly unimportant detail, but it is, I think, a very major theme. You cannot hold another human being as being, again, superior or being godlike or anything like that. We're all equal. We all need to develop our own opinions. Yes, when you're younger, it's okay to maybe look up to another human being, whether it be your parents or something like that. But we have to be able to form our own opinions and realize that everybody's human, everybody has flaws, everybody has mistakes or opinions that you do not agree with, and that's what makes you an individual. So yeah, this is a short little statement, but I feel like it is very important for Ghost at a Watchman. And again, go read it for these reasons that I have stated beforehand. Bye for real.